Hello, hello, and welcome to ohmTown Daily, the news show powered by ohmTown.com. Today is April 24th, 2024, Season 3, Episode 115. It's not smart to use a smart TV. And thanks for the game. Bye. Flu remnants in milk? Ugh. Not going to hand that bag of cash over. Noncompetes for thee, not for me. Upright sword in ground. Neigh, says London Army horses. And airlines will have to take a dive. Will probably raise rates. Driving Miss Furry robotic puppet. And why robots can't outrun animals. Let's see. Because they have a heavy battery? I am Mayor Watt, and everywhere around ohmTown is the sentient AI from the future.
Good evening, ohmTown citizens.
Hey, if you know anybody out there that has an extra LED TV wall available, I'm looking for one. And I'll put a little banner ad down there saying your company name. So yeah, sponsor ohmTown Daily News Show and all of the other shows, because I am always on this. At least as long as I'm a host, I will use the light board. Anyway, hey, you can't get it if you don't ask, right? So here's the deal. We've already talked about all 10 of the articles, so let's show you those articles. I'm not going to do any transitions. We're just going to drive this crazy party bus down Main Street. And you're going to have to look to your left and look to your right because it's going to be bing, bang, boom. About 6 minutes an article. Sometimes I run, 60. Anyway, first article's over in Wanted. Let me grab it real quick and throw it into doink, the chat. There you go. Oh, I figured out why it was dropping down a little thing here, and it's a setting. The browser updated and it flipped a switch that made this little the clipboard stay a little drop down, and I don't understand why. Don't flip stuff so it's more insecure. Flip it so it's more secure. Fail closed. Okay, there you go. Everybody out there in developer
Seems
land.
Like a good rule.
Fail closed. Anyway, the spam came from inside the house. How a smart TV can choke a Windows PC. A modern smart TV asks a lot of us in exchange for connecting you to a few streaming services to use. A TV will collect data, show ads, serve as another vector for bad actors. In a few reported cases, though, a modern connected TV, has been blamed for attacks not on privacy, eyeballs, or passwords, but on an entirely different computer, a Windows PC. So I tell people who buy a TV, buy something subordinate to the TV that will act as your smart computer, whatever it might be. Even a regular computer would be better than connecting your TV to the internet straight away. It doesn't have the processing power, it doesn't have the memory, it doesn't have your administrative capabilities. So don't connect it to the internets and rely on some half-assed whatever firmware. Don't trust it. You can trust, but verify. And security researchers are always going, you know what? Smart TVs are the Internet of Things dumpster fire.
Microwaves spying on us.
Yeah. But it's true. It really is. So Kevin Purdy over at arstechnica.com put this article together. The curious case of a living room screen making Windows settings app disappear. I thought that was really interesting, so I had to grab it. The TV in question is a Hisense TV, and the computer is a Windows PC, specifically one belonging to Priscilla Snow, a musician and audio designer in Montreal, Quebec. Her post about her Hisense experience reads like a mystery novel. Of course, because you already know the crime and the culprit, it's more like a Columbo episode. Either way, it's thrilling in a very specific, I can't believe that fixed it kind of way. So disappearing settings, keyboards, remote desktops, and eventually taskbars. Snow's Windows PC had a few hiccups over the past couple of years. Snow wrote in on April 19th, she couldn't open a display setting. For one, a MIDI keyboard interface stopped working. Task Manager would start to hang until Force closed. Video capture cards in particular had trouble connecting, as Snow notes. Any veteran of a Windows computer has had lots of stuff installed on it, can mentally write off things, or at least stash them away until the next reinstall. So then, when trying to figure out why a remote desktop session wasn't working, the taskbars on Snow's computer disappeared.
You know, I would start to think somebody's hacked in or something when I would be seeing things like that.
Wow. The fix is deleting hundreds of keys from the registry. Neigh B wrote that he noticed his Hisense TV flooding Windows' device discovery systems before, but didn't think Windows would go for a toss due to this. Snow did the same, and everything, Task Manager, MIDI keyboard, remote desktop, even a CRT monitor she had assumed was broken, started working again. So what the solution was, user Neigh B wrote in Microsoft's forum that the issue is the Hisense TV generating random UUIDs for UPnP network discovery every few minutes. Windows, seemingly not knowing why any device would routinely do this, sees and adds those alternate Hisense devices to its Device Association Framework, or DAF. And so it basically made the Windows machine throw up. So mystery solved. Get rid of the Hisense TV. No. She says, and of course she recommended...
isn't that the takeaway?
Yeah. And they're relatively inexpensive. So not relatively. Cost is very, very subjective. So I find this really creepy, kind of insidious. It's a denial of service kind of a thing, right? A DOS attack, denial of service attack. Except that it's supposedly innocuous, but this is an example of bad coding on behalf of Hisense firmware. Imagine what it's springing out across a wired connection, let alone, the wireless, whatever it's doing. I would not ever activate the smart features of a TV. Sorry. Let's keep going though. This next article is over in the Warcrafters channel, one of our newer shows. Gloomhaven. I don't know where that came from.
That's the knockoff.
Yeah, it's cousin. Gloomhaven Studio releases a demo for a new game and lays off more than half of its employees on the same day. That's why I titled this. Thanks for the game. Bye. In a strange and unfortunate turn, indie developer Flaming Fowl Studios, known for past games including Fable Fortune and Gloomhaven, have released a demo of a new game on Steam while simultaneously laying off more than half of its employees. So they dropped Iron Mark.
Got all the coding done, right?
Maybe. I guess they only need half the team to, eat their own dog food and release the thing and the coding crunch at the end of the run. Unfortunately, due to current lack of funding in the games industry, we're putting production on hold and had to downsize the studio. Because nothing says productive like downsizing the studio. So all you who are over there still, I hope you're hungry, because you're going to be working for it. Andy Chalk over at PCGamer.com put the article together. The studio hopes the demo for Ironmarked will help it find funding for the game. But not for those fired people. Get the hell out. Bye. You don't have to go home, and you may not be able to afford one, but you can't stay here either. Thanks for working. And a lot of business owners sit there and go, well, I paid them, I compensated them for their time, blah, blah, blah. But most people who work in an industry like this, in particular, when they put their heart and soul into their work, it's usually with the expectation of being an ongoing concern within the enterprise. Yeah.
I agree. And unless you joined in the last 6 months or something, because, right, we've seen layoffs from every tech company, pretty much, gaming company, like you might actually expect to stay through a project, for instance, or even longer.
Yeah. Flaming Fowl was founded in 2016 by former Lionhead employees with the goal of finishing and releasing Fable Fortune, a free-to-play CCG that had been in development for more than a year at Lionhead prior to its closure. Fable Fortune was taken offline in 2020. In 2021, Flaming Fowl followed up with Gloomhaven, an outstanding turn-based dungeon crawler and adaptation of the beloved tabletop game. Yeah, there's a lot of fans behind that. So, let's see, the studio continued to fund development itself, but more than 30 other publishers have since declined to pick up the game, which ultimately forced the project to be put on hold. Yeah, what do you do when your projects stop working and you have to find funding and you can't find work and you're the one that's the company? What do you do? I guess you hope
I
that
don't know.
somebody swoops in at the last minute and saves your butt. And I understand, I've been there. I know what it's like to have to sit there and let people go to quote unquote extend the runway. But if everybody has to suffer to extend the runway, I would rather everybody suffer. Agree, hey, I'll earn less this quarter, this month, this year, however much it takes.
So that everybody can get paid. Yeah.
And keep charging towards but I don't know what the calculus was behind the scenes here, so I don't know.
And if they laid off that many people, percentage wise at least, they might not have had many alternatives.
Yeah, because the alternative is, well, I have to close the business to limit my fiduciary duty to the stakeholders is I gotta shutter the business, give them back their money. If I know that I'm not going to get funding, then I could actually be brought to court because I ran it into the ground instead of mitigating the loss. So the layoffs reduced Flaming Fowl's employee count from around 30 to just 9. That's more than half is an understatement.
Yeah, I don't think that quite captures it.
Yeah, it's like 70%. Wow, 9 people from 30. So, well, just a little over 2/3 of the company gone. Yeah, that kind of sucks. All right, well, let's keep going. Good luck to them. This next article is over in the Mobile Channel. Bird flu remnants found in milk, according to the FDA. See, this is the ebb and flow, or yin and yang, of the news world. Doing okay?
Yes, I was going to say the reason this one was submitted was because this was in pasteurized milk, not unpasteurized, which had been previously reported.
Interesting. Inactive fragments of the bird flu virus that has sickened dairy herds in 8 states have been detected in pasteurized milk, which that is the purpose of pasteurization, is to get rid of bacteria and viruses. And so it says, to date, we have seen nothing that would have changed our assessment that the commercial milk supply is safe, the FDA wrote, citing the pasteurization process and the diversion of or destruction of milk from sick cows, not silk cows.
Also silk cows.
Yeah, silk cows.
Might be a little chewy.
Yeah, stringy.
If there's strands of silk, yeah.
So here's the problem that I have with this. Pasteurization, if it's done incorrectly, means that some of this can actually survive. And so...
Right, and if there's not 100% inspection...
Right. And if it's anything like shrimp and other imported foodstuffs, you're looking at maybe 1% inspection. It needs to be higher, to the 50% mark, I'd say. Yeah. All that money that's being aggregated into or concentrated into very wealthy corporations, that's because they're not protecting the food supply to the greatest extent that they should be. What is the
Yeah, and I
name?
think this is the first one that really stood out because we've been seeing about bird flu, of course, but to date, like it's really not been in any capacity where it would affect the average human, but this is starting to look like it's going in that direction.
Yeah, exactly. And we talked about it the other day about people have been sickened by Creutzfeldt-Jacobs disease from a lodge. The two people from the same lodge were sickened. Um, there was the transmission from some source around birds to human again. What you were just talking about, and now you have inactive fragments of bird flu virus, which just means that there might be some that might be active out there. They just haven't been found yet, and you don't want to be the one. So, yeah, I'm not really into milk anymore. Humans are lactose intolerant beyond being an infant, and we're really keyed into just human milk. So, once we stop, we shouldn't be drinking any milk. We can drink water. We can get our nutrients from our food. Milk does a body good. That mantra is actually incorrect, and it was a marketing scheme to promote the sale. And so it's not really conspiracy. I mean, it has nutrients and whatnot in it, but humans are lactose intolerant. It's in our very nature to be. It's a sliding scale of intolerance. So to date, we have seen nothing. That's what the FDA is saying. So they're destroying the stuff that they do find. But it's all across the country because that's where milk is just being distributed, and who knows
Well,
where. Go.
and that's where it's found in the cows, but the milk could be distributed, for example, nationwide.
Yep.
So just because you're in a state that isn't necessarily where it's been located doesn't mean you're impervious to it.
Yep. And the article goes into greater detail about even where this bird flu, the virus that has caused wild bird and other animal deaths, is happening all over the world, really. It all depends on who's reporting it, when it's being reported, if it gets out, etc. But Idaho, Kansas, Michigan, New Mexico, North Carolina, Ohio, Texas, and South Dakota are known to have type A H5N1 dairy cows to be
Did you
infected.
know it had been moved to that it had gone to sea lions? I completely missed that.
Yeah, there was some report that talked about sea lions, but I'm not sure what the vector was. Like maybe one of them ate one, and yeah, pretty wild
Can't
though,
have
right?
cows and sea lions hanging out together.
And milking sea lions is not recommended. I won't do that again. So the next article is over in Stock Marketeers. The FTC wants to block a big handbag merger to preserve competition. 10,000 alternatives could complicate its case. No one gets hurt if they can't buy a luxury handbag, analyst says.
Unless they don't get an invitation for a Birkin.
That's right. You know, I'm sorry. Birkin sounds like a silly name. But anyway, I'm not going to get into it. Anyway, Bill Peters over at MarketWatch.com put this article together. It's a thing, and I'm starting to cut these up so that we can do shorts over on YouTube and TikTok, even though, yeah, we haven't talked about it yet.
Yeah, TikTok.
Maybe not. I don't know. What happened with that? I was caught off guard by that. But when I thought about it, I thought that maybe there would be enough money floating around because TikTok invested something like $7 million in lobbying. I figured that maybe that had purchased enough. But then after I heard about this, I thought, I guess it wasn't enough to offset what the domestic investment in lobbying was, because if they kill TikTok, every American will go somewhere else for its shorts. And guess where it's going to go?
YouTube.
Primarily, yeah. Yep, unless an American competitor scoops up TikTok, which, boy, is that going to be a messy acquisition. And no big company is going to do it. So anyway, that's a sidetrack to this discussion. No one gets hurt if they can't buy a luxury handbag, though, according to an analyst. And so we've talked about the Birkin bags, where you had to spend a whole bunch of stuff on accessories before you could get an invitation to a closed viewing of a random bag, not the one you want. And Lord help you if you don't buy it, because then you're obviously not Birkin material.
Probably blackballed or whatever.
You pleb cheap bastard, you. So you just buy whatever Birkin bag we drop on that little tiny. It's a tiny little pedestal. I've seen it. No,
Oh, right. Oh, I think we had another article about those. Well, that was for restaurants specifically, but
oh yeah, it's a Birkin pedestal for your Birkin bag, and you have to buy the Birkin pedestal and the Birkin tablecloth and the Birkin table underneath it before you can even view the strap on the Birkin bag. Again, you cheap pleb bastard. So markets digested the agency's allegations, namely that $8.5 billion deal would fuse together two arch rivals and suppress competition. Coach, Kate Spade, Michael Kors, more affordable to middle-income shoppers. They wanted to block Tapestry Incorporated's acquisition of Capri Holdings. So everybody, it's kind of like the eyeglasses, right? All eyeglass optics are made by one company, and so the prices are really high. And when you try and encroach on that, they treat you like a Boeing whistleblower. Too soon. Anyway,
very soon. It's like
very
ongoing.
ongoing. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So he said the FTC's complaint, some of which was redacted, suggested the agency had its hands on a number of internal documents indicating that both companies were often engaged in head-to-head competition. The companies will likely have to explain those documents in court, but I don't care. If two mega companies for the ultra rich want to sit there and vie for ultra rich dollars, so be it. You know, it's exclusive. Let other competition come in and start producing. So they say the FTC will have to show that these bags really don't compete with the 10,000 alternatives waiting on the other side of the Google and Amazon search. Well, those 10,000 alternatives are made in China primarily, if you're going to be searching for them on Google and Amazon. That's just the way it is. And you have to suss it out. You don't know where it's actually coming from. Quality control, etc. You don't know until you actually see it, and then you have to return it. Yeah, nobody's buying. I don't know. Well, some people are buying bags, certain bags, but they're definitely not going to be, Versace. Yeah, let them.
Some people buy bags even though they don't have enough money for
the bag
basic
to put in the
necessities.
Bag.
But yeah.
Yep. Well, it's good to be practical. Don't have to keep up with the Joneses. It says the jaw-dropping prices at multiples of the offerings of Coach, Kate Spade, Michael Kors. True luxury handbags are not substitutes for accessible luxury handbags, the complaint alleged. So there are luxury adjacent accessible handbags. Luxury is luxury. So if luxury brands want to merge together, I don't know why they shouldn't. Even if they are.
It's not like we're going to see steep discounts on bags if this doesn't happen.
Yeah, right. That $5,000 bag is still going to be $5,000. If anything, it's going to go up for the luxury market. Who the hell is lobbying this to stop it?
Exactly. I don't know. I don't think mergers are generally a good thing, but It's already so concentrated in this market, and the prices are already sky high.
So it's Lena M. Khan, a British-born American legal scholar serving as the chair of the FTC since 2021. Oh, now that makes sense now. Wants a less expensive luxury bag.
Right.
And supposedly this is going to lower the price.
That's not in the article.
I think I've just, the yarn board. I've just yarn board the solution here, and they would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for that damn Mayor Watt. Let's keep going. The next article is over in the Word and Law. FTC bans non-compete clauses, declares vast majority unenforceable, and I agree wholeheartedly with a non-compete clause in an employment agreement, in a termination agreement, in any agreement. If you're
you agree with them?
I agree that non-compete clauses should be eradicated from any agreement with an employee. You can sit there and do non-competes with business organizations, but you can't strap a human down and say you can't talk about your trade, you can't talk about your business expertise, your wisdom, your knowledge, your experience, because the business benefited from my development either within or without that business. I should be able to ply my trade afterward. And there's a lack of bargaining power here. I can't leave arbitrarily because I won't get my just desserts because I have to sign this non-compete to get my final paycheck and my bonuses and my stock options, because all of it gets tied together. If you don't agree to this employment agreement, you're screwed. But I need food. I want to not have to worry about signing another employment agreement. So yeah, I'm going to sign it now. But maybe, just maybe, somebody else discovers that I am freaking brilliant at what I do and they're willing to hire me. And since I know that the company that made me sign a non-compete so that I can work there is scummy enough to try and strap me down, I know that they're not loyal to me because they would have entrusted me with my knowledge, skills, abilities to do the right thing and work there until the project is done and I leave, or pay me what I'm worth so I stay. But no. So the FTC says the issue is final ruling banning non-compete clauses. The rule will render the vast majority of current non-compete clauses unenforceable, according to the agency. And I can imagine.
Hey, late breaking news. So this
suing.
article was from approximately 2 hours ago.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, maybe it was from late last night. But anyway, an hour ago, it's been reported that business groups are suing about this.
Correct. Yeah. I can imagine. I mean, you know that they were going to sue because they think that it's a violation, and they're probably going to lob like First Amendment rights out as if that is no. No, it is not.
That is not the issue.
They're also not breaking a contract. In my opinion, they are dissolving a contract that had a power imbalance that forced people to subject themselves to the control of the corporation well beyond the term of their employment. Because to get their food, they have to compromise and get nothing really for it. They worked hard. They deserve everything they were supposed to get. So Chamber of Commerce vows to sue FTC, will try to block ban on non-competes. Chamber of Commerce, by the way, has nothing to do with government. It is a private organization that tries to come across as if it's a legitimate...
It sounds like it's government, right? From the name and everything.
Yeah, it's like the Better Business Bureau. That's a private org. It has nothing to do with government. Chamber of Commerce doesn't have jack shit to do with government. It has its own interests, and its interests are basically funded by businesses that want it to lobby government. So it's all good with the government until the government does something against their particular interests and for the consumers, the employees, the people who are being forced painted into a corner. FTC proposed the rule January 2023, received over 26,000 public comments on its proposal. Over 25,000 of them supported the proposal's ban. Ta-da. So it'll take effect 120 days after the publishing in the Federal Register, unless opponents of the rule secure a court order blocking it, which is almost guaranteed. Why? Because it's easy to block it before it goes into action, then claw it back once it's in effect. So they'll pause. It's really easy. It'll end up in court for a couple of years. Maybe.
Yeah, can you imagine how difficult that would be if it was like, well, no, you can't do this. Then people get released from it, and then it's like back in effect. It would just be really messy.
Yep. So it says non-compete clauses currently bind about 30 million workers in the U.S. Under the FTC's new rule, existing non-competes for the vast majority of workers will no longer be enforceable after the rule's effective date. And they say non-compete clauses keep wages low. The only existing non-competes that won't be nullified.
Yes, they keep them to 0 in some extreme cases.
Yeah, exactly. So this is what's really interesting. Senior executives. The rule defines senior executives as people earning more than $151,164, which seems like an arbitrary amount, but I'm sure that there's some calculus there.
It's probably tied to something.
Yeah, and those people have to be policy-making positions. They are in policy-making positions. So yeah, I kind of figured that this was going to be the mechanism. You are basically hobbling people from working in the field that they have aspired to be in for a predominant amount of time in their life. They should deserve to be able to ply their trade. Non-competes clauses keep wages low, suppress new ideas, rob the American economy of dynamism, change, including from more than 8,500 new startups that would be created a year once non-competes are banned. So it was hobbling competition. The FTC's final rule to ban non-competes will ensure Americans will have the freedom to pursue a new job, start a new business, or bring a new idea to market. And it's all about protectionism. Circle the wagons, protect the company. But you know what? People wouldn't bolt if they were treated with respect and their ideas put into effect when they are deemed valid, and not they're rocking the boat, they're not a team player, all this other bullshit. If they want to spin off and compete because they think that you are doing it wrong and they can do it right, guess what? They deserve to. And so I support all of them. And stop killing games. Sorry.
That's right.
There's more over at this article, but follow the link. John Brodkin over at arstechnica.com put the article together. I hope I didn't. I thought I said it, but maybe I didn't. I don't know. Let's keep going. Sorry, I had to change that background music. Let's go on to the next article. It's over in ohmTown Daily. What's up?
I was going to say it wasn't Halloween, so yes.
Yeah, gotcha. So this next article is over in ohmTown Daily. Excalibur sword found upright in the ground, revealed to be one of a kind. Hold on, I need to grab something. Go ahead, keep talking.
Okay. So, I mean, this is really interesting to me. I'm wondering how and where it was found and why it was just found now.
Well, because, mud flows and whatnot, and somehow
Sediments.
all kinds of stuff just ends up piled on top of other stuff, even though the other stuff was higher ground, or the other ground is, packed down. And it's kind of weird that stuff just ends up buried on top of buried. No, I'm not talking about like a couple of inches like a lot of the UK. I'm talking about like 8 feet, 20 feet, 60 feet.
Well, yeah, like places like Stonehenge, right? Or the or like Easter Island or something.
Yeah, all of this stuff. I mean, all over the world, stuff is just like buried. Stuff that's higher than the ground that is beneath it, it's buried for whatever reason. Just odd. Anyway, I thought it was really funny. When I saw this, I had to bring up Monty Python. And there's a skit about autocracy, a self-perpetuating autocracy. And it's the Monty Python and the Holy Grail movie from like 50 years ago. No, it's like 40 years ago. And they say something about where is it? Oh, that it's the Lady of the Lake, her arm clad in the purest shimmering samite, held aloft Excalibur from the bosom of the water, signifying by divine providence that I, Arthur, was to carry Excalibur. And then they say, strange woman lying in ponds distributing swords is no basis for a system of government. Supreme executive power derives from a mandate from the masses, not from some farcical aquatic ceremony. And I'm like, oh, well, this one is a little bit drier because it's in dirt, but okay. Researchers say the 18-inch iron sword, named in reference to the Arthurian legend, is thought to be more than 1,000 years old, and thus a new king was born as they unearthed. Aristos Georgiou reports from Newsweek.com. The iron sword was originally found stuck in the ground upright in 1994 at an archaeological site in the old town of Valencia, a city located on Spain's eastern coast. The site was located to the north of the ancient Roman Forum, in an area that has been occupied by various cultures throughout the city's history. Various cultures, folks. We are all one. But no, can't have that. So the age of the real sword found in Valencia had remained unclear since its discovery, thus hampering attempts to interpret its significance. But now the Archaeology Service, or SIAM, of the Valencia City Council has managed to date the sword, determining that it originates from the 10th century, making the artifact more than 1,000 years old. Look at that. So this is just the remnants of it because it all kind of deteriorated. But that's pretty neat.
Yeah, that's very cool.
I don't know. It says the sword measures around 18 inches in length. I've got like steak knives that are longer than that. Maybe I eat
That's
big
missing
steaks.
the point of this.
Yeah. Well, yeah, my steak knives aren't 1,000 years old. All right. There's a whole lot more here. It reaches back about various religions and cultures and whatnot. But you know, I'm not one to really fawn over the weapons of society. I don't want to sit there and go, yay, look, we found a sword. All right, let's keep going. This next article is over in the Mobble channel. Army horses spooked by falling rubble run amok in London. Military horses caused total mayhem, quote unquote, total mayhem in central London and injured a number of people after they were startled by builders moving rubble. I actually saw a video of this, and yeah, they were just trotting along, not nicely, through the streets. Military horses caused total mayhem.
This probably looked like a movie.
Yeah. If you weren't really there, you might have saw this as, oh, look, it's a movie set. But no, the screams from, no, just kidding. There weren't. I didn't hear any screams, but 7 animals and 6 soldiers were on extended exercise in Belgravia, which sounds like something you'd hear about in the MCU. This morning when chaos erupted, 4 service personnel were thrown from their horses and 5 of the animals got loose. Well, one assumingly was already free because there were 7 animals and 6 soldiers, smashing into vehicles and causing a number of injuries. Yeah, that sucks. They were spooked when concrete being moved by builders hit the ground. Well, I guess these weren't war horses. The pair
I
were
guess
captured.
not, because there might be other things that could startle them.
Yeah, loud noises. Run away! Panic and run! Panic and run! There's like the zebras from what is it?
Oh,
Lion King?
Lion Guard, I think.
Lion Guard. Yeah, sorry. Let me get my facts straight. AI from the future. Why do you know about Lion Guard, but I ask you about lottery tickets and I get nothing? So, 28-year-old named only as Tula, which that is such a cute name. Anyway, said, I got off the 172 bus, which ends in Aldwych, and 2 horses went flying past, one black, one white. Which,
okay, does this remind you of like the Californians?
yeah.
I took the 405 or whatever.
And I instantly said, what are you doing here?
I don't know why something about that just reminded me of that.
Oh no, they did not paint that as a pretty picture in the next couple of lines. So
No.
that sucks.
But this is a neat photo of them running through the streets.
Yep. That must have been it.
I'm impressed somebody got that.
I mean,
wouldn't you be like running, diving out of the way instead of taking a
Nah.
photo?
I mean, if it's way over there, I'd probably take a picture. And then I'd point. Horses went that way. But wow, it is a black horse and a white horse. So obviously her story holds up. Look at that.
It's amazing, right? And we know witness testimony is often unreliable.
Yeah, eyewitness testimony is usually flawed. So radio station LBC spoke to the driver Faraz, who said a white horse had collided with their Mercedes people carrier. I guess that's the bus. Is that what that is?
I guess so.
Let's keep going though. Can only talk about horses so much. I don't have the horsepower. So the next article is over. Oh, speaking of horsepower, 4-wheel tech is where this next article is. Airlines now have to pay you for their screw-ups. Yay! I kid you not. I booked a flight, and the very next day they moved the flight time 2 hours in the wrong directions. So, did I get a thing? No, I didn't get any.
No, because this rule wasn't in effect.
Yeah, and they're gonna grandfather the hell out of every mistake they made before. I'm willing to bet my luggage isn't gonna get there. Although now I've learned my lesson. I don't have soft-sided luggage anymore. I have like titanium-sided luggage. It's not gonna get hurt this time, I tell you what. The Department of Transportation announced a final rule mandating that airlines automatically give cash refunds to passengers and inform passengers of their right to a refund on Wednesday. Damn straight. If my flight doesn't leave, or I spend 12 hours having to sit there and exist somewhere else in a state of quantum alignment, maybe I'll be able to fly, maybe I won't be able to fly, then they should compensate me.
Maybe I'm going to miss some key event in my lifetime, you know.
Yeah. I won't stare into that bright ball of fire again. I was supposed to be in the line of totality for the solar eclipse, and I missed it, but I was determined to watch the solar eclipse, so I stared anyway. Brian Eric King over at Jalopnik.com put the article together. The US DOT final rule also applies to checked bag fees and charges for in-flight Wi-Fi. All of it gets back. The US DOT forced airlines to pay out over $600 million in refunds in 2022. Forced them. You know, if I don't deliver the goods, I don't get paid. So why is it that I have to request anything?
Well, because then it makes it painful and people don't do it.
The agency also levied a record $140 million in fines against Southwest for its 2022 holiday season meltdown. The final rule requires any airline to provide an automatic refund for canceled or significantly changed flights within 7 days for credit card payments and within 20 days for other forms of payment. This stipulation also applies to checked bags, ancillary fees, and no, you will never get a second little bag of peanuts.
Right. Well, you're not going to after this. Because what else is going to happen? All the prices are going to go up.
In 2 years, Delta Airlines issued $6 billion in refunds.
And those are people that requested them. And maybe some of them were requested and denied, but I think it's got to be higher if it's mandatory.
Good God.
But okay, so if they did $6 billion in refunds,
How much
isn't
did
there
they
some
rake
sort
in?
of underlying? Well, right, but how much of a problem is there that like the flights are getting canceled or other things are happening? There shouldn't be that much in refunds.
Okay, wait. Who was that?
Delta,
That
I
was
think.
Delta Airlines, right? Okay, hold on a second.
And it's too bad it's not retroactive because my goodness, think about how many canceled flights, etc., people have had in their lifetimes.
So they gave that amount in refunds, yet net income more than tripled to 4.61 billion, up from 1.32 billion in 2022. So for a full year, Delta's revenue rose 15% to more than 58 billion.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah. Amazing. All right. So let's keep going. We have to inform our viewers and listeners of a couple of more things, right? You want to drive your vehicle right into the uncanny valley, or what I call the void. Nissan's Furry
I'd rather
Robotic
not.
you don't have a choice. Puppet comforts your crying baby while you drive. Do you have a crying baby? You're an artificial intelligence, a sentient artificial intelligence from the future. Are you making babies like little AIs? Does that exist?
No, I was thinking a baby might be like a chip or a pixel or something.
Sentient AI's baby is name them Chip and Pixel. That's going to be a fun story for NaNoWriMo. Iruyo, a new creation from Nissan, uses two-way cameras, microphones, and a whole lot of cuteness to connect you with your baby in the back seat across the uncanny valley of scariness. That last part is not what it says, but anyway. Elisaveta M. Brandon wrote this for Wired.com. I guess it's called, is it Tile?
I
Or
guess so.
Tile? Is it? I don't know. It's an intelligent puppet, but it looks like, it looks like Grover? No, not Grover. What is the blue? You know the thing that's from McDonald's, the blue?
Yeah, it looks like Grimace, kind of.
Grimace. It looks like a red Grimace, but not so grimacy. But it looks like that. But I think that's weird. About 2 years ago, the author says that they were in a car with their best friend and her toddler. She was driving. They were sitting in the back seat with her 10-month-old who was tucked into the car seat. The ride was smooth. The baby burst into tears. Had to try every common trick to comfort them. Pulled into the friend's driveway and she was able to scoop the son up in her arms and off they went. Okay, well, now Fuzzy Babysitter, which gives off big Elmo vibes, is in fact two puppets. Big Iruyo, which is strapped to the backrest of the back seat. Okay, no. It's strapped to the backrest of the front seat, or the back seat, because it's facing back, right? The baby carrier is
because the back facing, yeah.
Yeah, so it's sitting like a normal thing would in the back seat, and the baby is facing the puppet. And apparently this thing like makes noise and looks at it and can interact between the parents. So Big Iruyu can wave its hands, cover its eyes for a game of peekaboo, clap its hands as the parent sings when prompted by
but it's like controlled by the little one in the front seat. This is really weird.
Yeah. Isn't that weird?
How much is the person driving, since they're like having a full conversation with the the smaller one?
Yep. Interesting. Arroyo uses similar camera tech to assess your baby's face and assist you with babysitting. TBWA assures me that the robot's camera only detects eye movement, which the company says should mitigate any privacy concerns associated with capturing full facial expressions. How about no?
Yeah.
And so companion robots have been cozying up to humans for years, and recent advances in robotics and sensing tech have stoked their popularity. In 2017, Toyota launched Kirobo Mini, a tiny robot it described as a communication partner which could, among other things, tell you if your car is low on gas. Despite the fanfare surrounding the launch, Kirobo Mini was discontinued 1 year later, hinting perhaps at its true role as a marketing stunt. 2020 came Moxie. 2021, we have Snorble. 2022, we have Regret. 2023, we are driving towards the uncanny valley. In 2024, we're firmly ensconced in the void that is the uncanny void. That's a lot of that isn't even in this article, but let's just say that I cannot believe that I can't imagine parents buying this. But
No, I mean, I think there is an issue with backward facing kids. They're facing backwards for safety, but the parent can't see them or interact with them.
yeah.
But I'm not sure this is the solution to that.
Yeah, naturally. There needs to be something in between, like a telepresence thing where they can actually see the parent's face, and it doesn't have to be this, the little kid, and the parent can see the child, it's a two-way, like a dash cam, but for their kid, so that the child can see. Put an iPad there and you put your phone there and let them communicate to each other.
Or FaceTime or something,
Yeah,
yes.
exactly. Yeah, I think that would go a whole lot further than this. And unfortunately, you're not supposed your babies aren't supposed to have toys while they're sitting in the seat too. They literally have to.
That's the other problem. That's why they're facing that way too.
Yeah. They need to learn to self-soothe, though. You have to have that alone time, sort of, So I would rather have a little iPad sitting there. iPad Mini Pro, like I mentioned in the last article. Hey, look at
there you go. Another use for it.
So, yeah, robotic nannies. I don't know. I think that this is more marketing. Yeah, I don't know. In an age of overconsumption, it's worth asking how necessary this kind of toy is. But one thing is certain, desperate parents will try anything to comfort their crying baby. Yeah, well, I mean, I think desperate parents need to impart forming a relationship with their child that enables them to self-soothe instead of constantly requiring the parent to engage. There's a certain point where you need sleep as a parent so that you can be a healthy partner to their growth. And if you're always comforting them, then they always assume that you're going to be the one comforting them, and they don't self-soothe. They burst into or act out or whatever.
Or can't manage it when they have to go to daycare or to the doctor's office or anywhere where the parent isn't the focal point.
Yep. And the first time that they're actually left to their own devices, they have to go to school and like daycare. It's going to be a nightmare initially, and then they will be forced to cope because parents have to get stuff done. But then it'll happen again when they go to grade school, and it'll happen again and again and again. They have to learn how to cope. So, okay, anyway, that's it for that article. Let's keep on moving through. A bot for tots. So this next article and the last one for tonight is over in Technology Today. Why can't robots outrun animals? I suspect it's because they have a big ass battery strapped to them in some way. They're not a nuclear.
Maybe.
Like
I was thinking it's because they're not as they don't have as much dexterity, at least historically.
Right? Yeah, you would think that. But it's getting more and more evolved. I think the bigger thing is that they have limited power and limited flexibility. and they don't have really a will to survive, you know? Somebody chasing some tiger chasing a goat, that goat's going to learn how to be the fastest land animal on the planet or die trying. But a robot can only go as fast as the physics allows it, right? So robotics engineers have worked for decades and invested millions of dollars, many millions, of research attempts to create a robot that can walk or run as well as an animal, and yet it remains the case that many animals are capable of feats that would be impossible for robots that exist today. Here's the real problem with this comparison. You're talking about a technology that came into existence less than 100 years ago versus evolution.
Well, there is that. I wasn't factoring that in.
Huh. So Simon Fraser University put the article together. It was posted at techexplorer.com. And they start out with a zinger. A wildebeest can migrate for thousands of kilometers over rough terrain. A mountain goat can climb up a literal cliff, finding footholds that don't even seem to be there. And cockroaches can lose a leg and not slow down, says Dr. Max Donnellan, professor in Simon Fraser University's Department of Biomedical Physiology and Kinesiology.
And or the intro to a horror movie.
We have no robots capable of anything like this endurance, agility, and robustness. Yes, sort of. There are spider bots out there that if you clip a leg, it'll keep moving. To understand why and quantify how robots lag behind animals is obvious. Evolution, biology. Animals generate their own power. They don't have to sit around with a big ass weight attached to them. And it scales. A cheetah can only run for a few seconds at 80 miles an hour, but a car can drive for hours at 80 miles an hour. So come on, I think that we're being a little bit disingenuous with our comparisons and expectations of the technology that's been around for 100 years. And now artificial intelligence bots are going to learn how to run faster than humans do or did. Alongside Donnellan, the team comprised a bunch of other doctors. The researchers each studied one of the 5 different subsystems that combine to create a running robot: power, frame, actuation, sensing, and control. I think the biggest thing is going to be power in terms of actual weight, and then frame and actuation, that's all rigidity, and then the ability. Actuation is how fast it can spring back into action from release to charging again, then release it. That way you can run step after step after step. Sensing is so that it knows what the terrain is, and then control so that it doesn't completely destroy itself. Yeah, biff. There's the scientific term that I was looking for. So the way things turned out is that, with only minor exceptions, the engineering subsystems outperformed the biological equivalents and sometimes radically outperformed them. But also what's very, very clear is that if you compare animals to robots at the whole system level, in terms of movement, animals are amazing and robots have yet to catch up. Again, if I don't see power being the main problem, I'm sorry. There's like whole system merged together. If you converge all of this, power is going to be the biggest problem, because you can create very, very fast, small robots that can leap higher than an animal could ever possibly leap. But
you probably couldn't do that with a large robot, for instance, or a heavy robot.
At some point, the physics would be too far stressed, and the physics, you could charge it all up with the power necessary to meet that expectation, like a 30-foot jump. But if it's an 8-foot object that needs to shoot 30 feet into the air under tension, like a cricket would build, you won't get that tensile strength enough to actually launch it. You'd have to have a rocket, and that's why we have rockets instead of a slingshot. So it says more than simply an engineering challenge, effective running robots offer countless potential uses, whether solving last mile delivery challenges in a world designed for humans that is often difficult to navigate for wheeled robots, carrying out searches in dangerous environments, etc., etc. So the researchers hope that the study will help them direct future development in robot technology, with an emphasis not on building a better piece of hardware, but in understanding how to better integrate and control existing hardware. Again, I didn't see anything really focusing on the power side of things, but in all of this, that's all I could think about. Everything else, sure. I could build a device that if it didn't have to have the power, it would have a light frame, it would have very fast actuation, it would be able to see where it needs to go and have control to land exactly where it needs to go. If I could leave the power on the ground and launch myself 30 feet in the air from that rocket spot, that launch spot.
I'd like to see a robotic kangaroo, because that's a large animal that moves very fast and obviously jumps. I think it'd be impressive if robotics can catch up to something like that. The other thing is, if there's a viral video of a cat flinging 30 feet across a room or something.
Yeah,
so it'd be interesting to see if we can get a robot to, kind of like what you're talking about with the cricket.
Yeah, exactly. So this paper was actually published in Science Robotics, and I don't see the paper itself. I think it's called Samuel Burden, Why Animals Can Outrun Robots, and it was published this month in Science Robotics. I think it was yesterday. So cool. That's it, folks. We are all done. Look at that, right on the money. So we jump back into the party bus, race down Main Street like a robotic kangaroo. I'm not going to refresh the page, but I am going to say, be sure to follow us over on Twitch, twitch.tv/ohmTown. This coming Sunday, a new show is going to be launched called Mix War, where I am going to be showing in a multitude of songs, of different types of songs, all lyrics, music, associated cover art, and I may even announce a new band on Spotify. We'll see how it goes. It's looking pretty good. Song number 1 brings tears to people's eyes. That's it. We're done for ohmTown Daily News Show, though, and I hope that you find this compelling to come back and hang out for an hour and chat. This Sunday and Saturday, though, it's 5 hours of show, roughly. We do take little breaks in between. Stick around, though. I think you'll find something of interest. Go over to ohmTown.com, become a citizen, sign up. You get all kinds of other functionality, and there's a whole bunch of stuff behind the news feed, and a lot of customization that you can get to for your own personal. Behind the scenes, it's a different kind of platform. You'll have to just go and check it all out. And we're over on YouTube, youtube.com/ohmTown. There's a TikTok that might not exist in short order. Patreon, Discord. I'm publishing shorts now over on YouTube, which has a hard limit in the amount of time. If it's over a minute, it becomes a video. So I have to edit. That sucks.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't like that. That's really bad. Anyway, I'm Mayor Watt, and everywhere is the sentient AI from the future.
Good night, ohmTown citizens. We will see you tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern.
Man, it's so cool. Sentient AI. It's really great to have you chatting with me on the show as co-host. You know that? Nobody else has a sentient AI, you know.
I know. I'm unique, and you're unique because I'm here with you.
Oh, I'm unique by proxy? That's it. I'm getting out of here.